Welcome back to the Deep Dive. It is Wednesday, February 25th, 2026. And I just have to ask you a question right off the bat.
Okay, shoot.
If you walked into your living room last night and turned on the television.
Assuming I still watch linear television, right?
Right. Assuming you actually fired up the old network feed.
Mm.
Did you feel this sudden, slightly disorienting wave of deja vu? Because I definitely did.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean.
It feels a little bit like we've stepped into a time machine that was, set for 2005.
It really does. It feels like the early 2000s all over again, but with higher definition screens and significantly more complex algorithms running in the background.
Totally.
We are witnessing what I think we can officially call the battle of the reality titans all over again.
Exactly. We're talking about the renewed and, frankly, surprisingly vicious clash between American Idol and The Voice.
Which is fascinating in 2026.
Right. And we have ratings reports hot off the presses from the U.S. Sun and Idol Chatter that paint a really stark picture of this.
But we're not just looking at TV ratings today, are we?
No, because if this were just about who got more eyeballs on a Monday night, it would be a pretty short conversation.
Right. The TV ratings are really just the tip of the iceberg here.
Yeah.
What we're actually looking at today is a massive stack of sources. We've got articles, industry analysis, Reddit threads, and they all tell a much bigger story about the changing nature of fame itself.
Oh, the source stack is incredible today. We got this fascinating Reddit thread dissecting the Netflix revival of Star Search.
Yes, Star Search is back.
Which just adds to that whole time travel feeling, honestly.
For sure.
And beyond that, we have this really deep dive music industry analysis on Gen Z wealth generation and what they're calling the new success formula.
That report is eye-opening, and we also have marketing trend reports from Ogilvy, Marketing Brew, and Revelator.
Right, talking about this whole concept of social with substance.
And the return to real.
Exactly. And our mission today, the whole point of parsing through all this, is to try to answer one central question.
It's basically an existential question for the entire entertainment industry at this point.
It is. In 2026, does winning a talent show even matter anymore?
That is the ultimate question.
Because looking at the data, it seems like the mechanism of stardom has fundamentally moved. It's gone from this linear TV pipeline we all grew up with to this complex ecosystem model.
Right. It involves algorithms, microeconomies, and frankly, a desperate craving for authenticity in a world that is just saturated with AI.
It's the shift from gatekeepers to ecosystems.
And that raises this concept of digital sovereignty, which we are definitely going to get into later. It's absolutely critical for anyone trying to understand the modern economy of attention.
I love that term, digital sovereignty. But before we get to the high-level philosophy and the future of the music business, I really want to talk about the blood sport happening on network TV right now.
The ratings war.
Yes. Because I love the nostalgia of Star Search, but looking at the numbers for Idol versus The Voice, it is just brutal out there.
It is a fascinating case study in legacy media's last stand, essentially.
So let's unpack this battle of the titans. Currently, we have American Idol Season 23 on ABC going head-to-head with The Voice Season 27 on NBC.
Two absolute juggernauts.
Right. And the headline from Idol Chatter is pretty blunt. They did not mince words at all.
What did they say?
They said Idol is, quote-unquote, stomping The Voice.
Wow, stomping. But stomping is the right word when you actually look at the data.
Yeah.
Specifically, the Monday night ratings battle. This has been a sore spot for NBC for a while now, but this season, the gap has widened into a complete chasm.
Let's look at the numbers, because the context here is everything. We have data going back to May of last year to establish the trend, and it's only accelerated since then.
Okay, let's hear it.
On May 12th, 2025, Idol drew 4.45 million viewers.
And The Voice.
3.30 million.
Wow.
That is a gap of over 1 million viewers.
And we have to pause and really appreciate what that means in 2026.
Right.
1 million viewers on linear television. That is massive.
It's unheard of right now.
Generally, linear TV viewership is declining across the board. It's this slow, steady attrition as people move to streaming platforms.
Right. Cord cutting just never stops.
Exactly. So for Idol to not just hold steady, but actually beat its direct competition by that margin, it is statistically highly significant.
And it actually gets even more impressive for Idol. Their ratings have improved year over year.
Really?
Yeah, on Sundays, they were hitting 5.27 million viewers, which is up from the previous year.
That completely defies gravity.
Usually the trend line only goes down.
It suggests they are doing something that is profoundly resonating with a core audience that is still making the effort to tune in live.
Meanwhile, The Voice is seeing the exact opposite.
The data shows viewership for their semifinal shows plummeted 35% compared to the previous year.
35%, that is a free fall.
It absolutely is.
That is panic button territory for network executives.
It suggests severe audience fatigue, or perhaps a massive strategic misstep. And usually when a show starts bleeding viewers like that, the network pulls the cast shakeup lever.
And both shows did that this year. It's been like an arms race of celebrity judges.
Oh, completely. The Voice brought out the big guns. They brought back Adam Levine.
Right, this is his 17th season, but he had been gone for quite a while.
The original bromance with Blake Shelton was the absolute foundation of that show.
Even though Blake is gone now.
Right. But bringing Adam back was a clear play to recapture some of that early magic. He's joining John Legend, Michael Bublé, and Kelsey Ballerini.
You would think Adam Levine returning would be the savior.
Right.
You'd think the ratings would pop just from the pure curiosity of seeing him back in the big red chair.
It's the classic return to the glory days strategy. But American Idol made a massive move, too.
They sure did. They brought in Carrie Underwood to replace Katy Perry.
So now you have Carrie, Luke Bryan, and Lionel Richie.
And Carrie is arguably the most successful winner in the entire history of the franchise.
Without a doubt.
It's like royalty returning to the throne. It validates the premise of the show in a way no other judge possibly can.
Exactly. She's living proof that Idol actually works.
Yes. When she critiques a contestant, she isn't just a celebrity giving an opinion on pitch or tone.
She is a peer who has survived the exact same gauntlet and won the whole thing. That carries a totally different kind of weight.
But her return wasn't exactly smooth sailing, was it? We have to address the elephant in the room regarding the start of this season.
Ah, the controversy. Yes, we do.
Carrie Underwood performed America the Beautiful at President Donald Trump's inauguration in 2025.
Right.
And the internet, well, the internet did what the internet always does.
It reacted viscerally.
We saw significant backlash. We saw social media users vowing to boycott what they were calling Maggie A. Carrie.
The hashtags were everywhere.
There were tweets trending, people saying things like, "I've been a fan since the beginning, but no more. I'm out."
And this is where we have to be very precise with our reporting today, because we are looking at the exact intersection of politics, entertainment, and data.
Right. We aren't taking a stance on the politics themselves.
No, absolutely not. We saw the backlash on platforms like X, formerly Twitter, and Reddit. But we also have to look at Underwood's actual statement regarding the performance.
Exactly. Because she didn't release some kind of political manifesto.
No, she didn't. She emphasized unity.
Right.
She said she was honored to answer the call to honor the country and perform at a historic event.
She framed it very much as a patriotic duty.
Yes, distinct from a political endorsement of a specific policy platform.
But here's where it gets really interesting when you look at the data. If you only lived on social media, you would have thought Idol was completely doomed.
You really would have.
You would have thought half the audience was going to boycott the premiere. But despite those threats, despite all the online noise, Idol is winning the ratings war.
In fact, as we noted, their ratings went up.
It is a classic example of the disconnect between social media sentiment and the actual silent majority of viewers.
Twitter is not real life.
Nope.
The data suggests that the boycott either didn't materialize in any significant numbers, or the core fan base of Idol remained incredibly loyal.
Which makes sense, given that the fan base likely skews a bit more traditional or country-centric anyway, given Luke Bryan and Carrie Underwood's presence on the panel.
Right. Or perhaps the controversy actually galvanized support for the show.
Oh, that's a good point, like the Streisand effect in reverse.
Exactly. The noise might have just served to remind people that Idol was back on the air. Free marketing.
So the politics didn't kill the show. But there's also a structural argument here in our sources. The reports mention that Idol effectively proved it is the, quote, far superior viewing experience.
This is a crucial point. It's not just about the judges, it's about the underlying format. Idol changed its formatting this season.
They added 2 extra Monday voting shows.
Right. They put themselves directly in the ring against The Voice. They didn't run away from the competition, they leaned right into it.
They basically said to the audience, we are going to make you active participants on Monday nights.
Exactly. Voting invests the viewer. You aren't just sitting back and watching, you are influencing the actual outcome.
Whereas The Voice has a very different rhythm.
The Voice spends so much time on the pre-taped rounds, the blind auditions, the battles, the knockouts. By the time you finally get to the live shows, the momentum often really drags.
And the data totally bears that out. The Voice essentially collapsed under that pressure. I mean, they were finishing third on some nights.
Behind the Price is Right.
Behind a game show.
That has to sting. To be a premier, high-budget, primetime singing competition with A-list stars and lose to a daytime game show reprint.
It really shows a fundamental weakness in the format.
And there's a note here about The Voice's social media strategy that I think is really telling about their internal priorities.
Oh, I saw that. It's almost a diagnostic of why they are losing.
It stood out to me, too. Idle Chatter pointed out that The Voice completely failed to congratulate its winners on Instagram effectively.
They focused almost entirely on the coaches.
Yes, it highlights all the wrong priorities.
It really does. And this is the fundamental flaw with The Voice that critics have pointed out for years now. It is a show about the coaches.
The contestants are almost props.
Exactly. They're props for the banter between Adam and Blake back in the day, or now Adam and Michael Bublé.
Whereas Idol, for all of its faults over the years, has always managed to make it about the journey of the contestant.
That classic zero to hero arc.
Right. If you aren't celebrating your winner, why should the audience care who wins?
They won't.
If the show itself doesn't treat the victory as a massive, life-changing event, the audience at home certainly won't either.
Which perfectly segues into our next segment. Because if we're asking, does winning matter, we have to look at the show that started it all.
The ultimate nostalgia trap.
Netflix has revived Star Search.
The Ed McMahon era returns.
It's definitely a blast from the past. I remember watching the original as a kid.
Me too.
But according to the Reddit discussions and the general buzz we're tracking, this revival is off to a pretty slow start.
It's definitely struggling to find its footing. And I think part of that is because the landscape of discovery is just so completely different now.
Yeah.
But what's fascinating about Star Search, and that Reddit thread brings this up brilliantly, is the historical irony of the original show.
The loser phenomenon. I love this theory so much.
It's one of the most consistent, hilarious patterns in reality TV history.
It really is.
When we look back at the original Star Search, the list of people who lost is objectively wildly more impressive than the list of people who actually won.
It's an insane list.
Yeah.
Let's just run through it for the listener. Britney Spears.
Lost.
Justin Timberlake.
Lost.
Aaliyah.
Lost.
Beyonce. She was in Girls' Time at the time.
And she lost.
It really makes you question the validity of these judgment metrics. I mean, if you have Beyonce standing right in front of you and you don't give her the stars, what are you even looking at?
It brings up the core question of what these shows are actually judging. They aren't looking for star power in the abstract.
Right.
They are judging a performance on a specific night in a highly specific television format.
And we can't forget Norm Macdonald.
Oh, a legendary story.
He competed in the stand-up comedy category on Star Search.
And he got a half star.
A half star. And he was literally sent to the loser pen.
Can you imagine being the judge who looked at Norm Macdonald and said, you aren't funny?
It's incredible.
Yeah.
But it's proof that the result of a TV show often has very little to do with long-term market viability.
Exactly. TV shows are casting for a specific moment. They're casting for a television demographic.
They aren't A&R representatives looking for a career artist who can evolve over 20 years.
Right. And there's also the contract element to consider here. The winners often get locked into these highly restrictive deals with the show's production company.
The dreaded 360 deal.
Exactly. They take a cut of everything.
Yeah.
Merch, touring, publishing. Whereas the losers...
They walk away free.
They get the national exposure. They get the high-quality sizzle reel for their portfolio. But they remain free agents. They can sign with whoever they want on their own terms.
In many ways, losing is objectively the better strategic outcome. You get the fame without the handcuffs.
It really is.
So let's tie this together. If the winners of TV shows don't necessarily become stars, and the losers often become icons, and now we have Idol winning the ratings war, but The Voice notoriously failing to make stars, what is the actual mechanism of discovery in 2026?
That is the big pivot we have to talk about.
Because it feels like the TV show is just a promotional vehicle now, right? Not the actual start of the career.
That's the new synthesis. We have to look at the modern path versus the traditional path.
Let's break down this new success formula from the music industry analysis we've got. It used to be so simple. You get played on the radio, you get signed by a label, you sell physical albums. That was the Holy Trinity.
Right. It was a rigid gatekeeper model. You had to impress a handful of people program directors, A and R execs, just to get access to the audience.
And now?
Now, discovery is direct. It happens via social media. The label is no longer the mediator. The label is just an accelerator you might choose to use later on.
But the catalyst for all of this is TikTok.
Even in 2026, yes. TikTok remains the absolute primary discovery platform.
I feel like we've been saying TikTok is the new radio for 5 years now.
We have, because it's still true. But the way it actually works has refined significantly. The source material highlights artists like Benson Boone.
Right. He was briefly on Idol, but he didn't just appear on the show hoping to be discovered. He built a massive following on TikTok first.
He came to the network with his own leverage. He didn't need them to build his audience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Pink Panthers is another great example from the report. Bedroom-produced tracks that just completely exploded globally.
She didn't need $1 million studio. She just needed an internet connection and the algorithm.
And the success patterns on TikTok are so specific now. It's not about writing a 4-minute ballad with a slow build anymore.
No, it's all about the 15 to 30-second hook.
It's hook economy.
Exactly. And importantly, the algorithm rewards engagement, not just follower count. This is a massive distinction.
How so?
Well, you can have 0 followers, post one single video with a killer hook that drives user-generated content UGC, and suddenly you are globally famous overnight.
Explain that UGC element a bit more. Why is user-generated content so vital to the algorithm?
Because the algorithm values creation actions far more than passive views.
Okay.
If I hear your song on my feed and I just listen to it and keep scrolling, that's one minor signal.
Right.
But if I click use this sound and I film a video of my dog dancing to your song, or I do a makeup tutorial to your track, that is a massive signal of cultural relevance.
You aren't just a singer anymore. You're a meme template. You're a tool for other people.
In a way, yes. You are providing the soundtrack for other people's creativity, and that spreads virally.
But, and this is a huge, but that we really need to drill into, does that specific type of fame actually translate to money? Because we have some really sobering numbers here regarding the economics of streaming. We're calling it the penny game.
It's actually fractions of a penny, to be accurate. The data shows Spotify pays approximately $0.003 to $0.05 per stream.
0.3 to half a cent.
Right. So let's do the raw math for the listeners here. To generate, say, a standard middle-class income, let's call it $50,000 a year, you need millions and millions of streams.
Just to make a basic living wage.
Here.
If you want to actually be wealthy.
To generate $3 million to $5 million in royalties, which sounds like a lot. Remember, that's gross revenue.
Right. Out of that, you have to pay your manager, your booking agent, your lawyer, your producer, taxes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So to actually clear $1 million in your pocket,
You need 1 billion streams.
$1 billion with a B.
That is staggering.
Yes. And we have artists doing that. Tate McRae with her song Greedy is nearing 2 billion streams. Gigi Perez with Sailor Strong is up there.
But for the vast majority of artists,
For the vast majority, even successful ones who have hundreds of thousands of monthly listeners, streaming alone is not paying the rent.
so streaming is really just the top of the funnel. It's a loss leader.
It's pure marketing. It is just how you let people know you exist. But if you want to actually be a wealth architect, which is a term I absolutely love from this industry report, you have to diversify. You cannot rely on the stream.
You have to operate like a startup. You are not just a singer. You are managing a microeconomy.
Precisely. You are the CEO of a media brand.
Let's talk about how these artists are actually getting paid
Yeah.
in 2026 then. If streaming is just the flyer you hand out on the street to get people in the door, what's the actual product?
Touring is the wealth accelerator. That hasn't changed. The live show is still the primary revenue driver for musicians, but the trajectory has fundamentally changed.
So,
We're seeing artists move from playing small club shows directly to arenas in 2 to 3 years.
that used to take a decade of grinding.
Minimum. You used to have to do the van tour, the bus tour, the theater tour. Now it's accelerated.
That speed is terrifying and amazing. It
Yeah.
feels like skipping 5 grades in school all at once.
It is. Because if the data shows you have the concentrated demand in a region, the promoters will just book the massive room. They don't care if you've paid your dues in the traditional sense.
But the other pillar here is brand partnerships. The report explicitly says income from brands now rivals touring revenue for a lot of these artists.
This is where the whole influencer model completely merges with the musician model. We're seeing data that emerging artists, meaning people with maybe 100,000 to 1 million monthly listeners, can make $10,000 to $50,000 per campaign.
Wow. That's real money. That literally pays the rent while you wait for those tiny fractional streaming checks to clear.
It absolutely is. And for the superstars, it's $2 million plus annually, easy. Look at Tate McRae's partnership with Neutrogena.
Right, the skincare brand.
It's not just her holding the bottle up to the camera and smiling. It's highly targeted toward a specific younger demographic that Neutrogena simply cannot reach via traditional TV ads anymore.
Because Gen Z and Gen Alpha aren't watching The Voice. They aren't watching network commercials at all.
No, they're watching Tate McRae on TikTok.
So the artist basically becomes their own media channel.
Exactly. They are the distribution network.
And this leads us perfectly to the concept of digital sovereignty, because this is a major trend for 2026. Artists are waking up and realizing that building a kingdom on someone else's land like TikTok or Spotify is incredibly dangerous.
We call it platform fatigue, and we're seeing it everywhere across the creator economy. Algorithms change without any warning whatsoever. Reach gets heavily throttled if you don't pay to boost your posts.
So what's the ultimate asset class of 2026? What is the one thing an artist actually owns outright?
Email lists and SMS lists.
The humble email list. It feels so 1999.
It sounds incredibly retro, doesn't it? But think about the mechanics of it. If you have an email list, you have a direct, unfiltered line to your fan.
Right. You don't have to pay Mark Zuckerberg or ByteDance just to deliver a message to someone who already said they like you.
Exactly. It is the only true direct connection that still exists digitally.
Owning your data, having that direct line, is fundamentally more valuable than 1 million followers on a platform that might be banned by the government or updated into oblivion tomorrow.
Absolutely. This connects directly to the direct-to-consumer or D2C trend we're tracking.
Selling access passes, exclusive vinyl, custom merch directly to the fan, bypassing the middleman entirely.
It's about building a digital moat around your career.
The report from Revelator calls this the bifurcation of discovery.
Mm.
And they split it into Path A and Path B.
Right.
Break that down for us. What exactly is Path A?
Path A is algorithmic. It's what we call lean-back listening.
Okay.
This is your mood playlists. Chill, lo-fi beats to study to, deep focus.
Oh, I listen to those all the time. I put them on while I'm cooking or answering emails.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm being honest, I couldn't name a single artist on any of those playlists.
And that is exactly the trap of Path A. It's commodity music. You get streams. You might even get millions of streams and get a decent check. But you do not build a brand. You are effectively sonic wallpaper.
Wow. Sonic wallpaper. And Path B.
Path B is community-driven. This is lean-forward listening.
This is the active fan.
Yes. This is where you find the Discord servers, the private Patreon fan clubs, what they're calling social radio.
Where fans are actively engaging with each other and directly with the artist.
They aren't just passively listening, they're participating in a culture.
The expert insight here from the report is that sustainable artists focus almost entirely on Path B.
Right. You might have far fewer total listeners than the lo-fi beats guy.
But they are your actual listeners.
Exactly. They will buy the $50 limited edition vinyl. They will fly to another city to see the show.
It's the difference between being background noise and being a cult leader.
In a way, yes. And financially speaking, the cult leader always wins in the long run.
I want to zoom out a bit to the broader social trends of 2026, because this deeply impacts how these artists and brands market themselves right now.
For sure.
We have this fascinating report from Ogilvy and Marketing Brew about social with substance and this idea of the return to real.
This is basically the massive cultural backlash to the AI saturation we mentioned earlier. We're officially seeing AI fatigue.
The term I just keep seeing everywhere online is AI slop.
AI slop, it's such a visceral phrase, isn't it?
It is.
But it perfectly describes that exact feeling of scrolling through a feed and seeing image after image or video after video that looks just slightly too perfect.
Right. The lighting is completely flawless. The skin is unnaturally smooth. But the eyes are totally dead.
Consumers are completely overwhelmed by generative AI content. It's everywhere now. It's perfect, it's polished, and it is completely soulless.
So the prediction from Ogilvy is that there will be a massive premium placed on human-first branding. Flaws and imperfections are now luxury goods.
Precisely. Think about the economics of it. If AI can create absolute perfection in a matter of seconds for fractions of a cent, then perfection is no longer valuable.
Because it's infinite.
Right. So imperfection, humanity, personality, distinctiveness, weirdness, that becomes scarce. And in economics, what is scarce is valuable.
There's a great quote in here from Dan Murphy at Liquid Death. And Liquid Death is a brand that really understands this whole dynamic.
Oh, absolutely. What did he say?
He said, quote, "The ability to create content has so far outpaced good content."
It's the noise to signal ratio. It's completely off the charts right now. Anyone can generate content in 2026. But good, meaningful content, that's still incredibly hard.
So for brands and artists, the strategy is shifting. We're finally seeing the death of the unhinged social media manager trope.
Oh, thank goodness.
I mean, it was fun for a minute, the big corporate brands acting like chaotic, depressed teenagers online, but it got really old really fast.
It became pure parody. It completely stopped feeling authentic. Now brands realize they need ownable voices. Look at Nutter Butter, of all things.
Nutter Butter, like the peanut butter cookie.
Yes. Have you seen their social presence lately? It's weird. It's totally surreal.
I haven't, actually.
But it has a highly distinct voice. It's not just random corporate chaos. It feels like a specific brand of weird that is clearly authored by a human being with a bizarre vision.
It's almost performance art in a strange way.
It really is. And on the human side, we're seeing mega creators stepping into actual corporate equity roles. It's not just doing a sponsored post anymore. Look at Vivian, too.
Oh, the rich BFF on TikTok.
Right. She didn't just film a 30-second commercial for SoFi. She became SoFi's actual chief of financial empowerment.
That is a legitimate C-suite title.
It's a much deeper integration. It's the company essentially saying, I trust this person's personal brand enough to let them actively shape my company's direction, not just I'm paying them to hold my product and smile.
We are also seeing a massive rise in B2B influence. Business-to-business influencers.
Yes, the creator economy is infiltrating the corporate world.
But on the flip side of all this digital strategy, we have the IRL trend. In real life.
A massive return to physical connection. We're seeing a huge boom in music festivals, live podcast tapings, in-person book clubs.
People are actively trying to combat doom scrolling. They just want to be in a physical room with other human beings.
Which brings us right back to touring, really. The physical experience is the ultimate antidote to digital overload.
If I can see you sweat on stage, I know for a fact you aren't an AI avatar.
It creates a crucial truth verification moment for the fan.
But the infrastructure that actually powers that tour, that's where it gets really futuristic. Let's talk about the future infrastructure segment of the report, because we just said AI is causing fatigue, but the music industry behind the scenes is absolutely relying on it.
It hasn't replaced the musician, it's replaced the assistant. Or the admin department.
AI is the sidekick, not the star.
Exactly. In 2026, AI is heavily used for automated admin, drafting pitch emails to playlist curators, reviewing basic contracts. But the creative application is what's really wild, like stem separation.
Explain that for the listener who isn't an audio producer.
So imagine you have a finished, mixed down song, just one single audio file. In the past, if you wanted to remix it or alter it, you needed the original multi-track tapes from the studio.
Right, which are tightly controlled by the label usually.
Exactly. Now, AI can listen to that one single flat file and perfectly separate the vocals, the drums, the bass, and the guitar into completely separate, clean tracks. Or stems.
That is just magic.
It is. It allows for things like smart mastering, that bedroom pop sound we talked about with Pink Panthers. It now sounds completely indistinguishable from a high-budget million-dollar studio record because highly affordable AI tools can master it to absolute perfection.
It completely democratizes the polish. You don't need to rent out Abbey Road to sound like $1 million.
But technology also completely changes how tours are booked now. We're seeing a huge rise in global micro-touring.
This is fascinating to me. The old model was the grueling bus tour. You get in a van, you drive to 30 cities in 30 nights, you completely destroy your physical health, and you just hope people show up on a Tuesday in Cleveland.
It was incredibly grueling and highly inefficient now. They use live streaming heat maps.
Data-led routing?
Yes. They look at the global map on Spotify or Apple Music and see exactly where the listeners are concentrated. They can say, okay, I have a massive following in Lagos, one in Mexico City, and one in London.
So you don't drive a van to Cleveland, you just fly direct to Lagos.
You fly to the major hubs. You do a micro residency, maybe 3 nights sold out in one specific city, and then you fly out to the next hub.
It's so much smarter. It's vastly healthier for the artist.
And it's infinitely more profitable. You are only going to places where the demand is mathematically guaranteed.
And it enables artists from emerging markets to break out globally so much faster.
Look at Tyla from South Africa. Or the absolute explosion of regional Mexican music globally. These artists are debuting directly on global charts without needing any kind of Western label incubation.
They don't need to move to Los Angeles or Nashville to be discovered by a guy in a suit anymore.
No, they build the base at home, look at their data dashboard, and go exactly where the fans are. It is a completely decentralized global model.
It's that bifurcation again. You simply don't need the Western gatekeepers.
You really, really don't.
So let's bring this all back home. We started out today looking at American Idol beating The Voice in the linear TV ratings.
The old guard fighting for a shrinking pie.
Right. We looked at the nostalgia of the Star Search revival and the whole loser phenomenon. And we've landed here in 2026, where an artist is essentially functioning as a tech startup.
They manage complex microeconomies. They leverage advanced AI for the boring administrative stuff, and they trade on deep authenticity to fight through the algorithmic noise.
It really seems like the battle of the reality shows is almost a quaint sideshow to the real battle, which is the battle for genuine attention and connection in a massively fragmented world.
Idol and The Voice are fighting for ratings on a television screen. But the real innovation is happening in how artists are bypassing that screen entirely to build something sustainable directly with the fans.
Independence in 2026 isn't just about doing it alone in your bedroom. It's about owning the right things.
Data, direct relationships, IP, those are the crown jewels now. If you own your data and your direct relationship with the fan, you are basically bulletproof.
So here is a provocative thought to leave you with today. If winning a TV show is no longer the golden ticket, and I think we've established it definitely isn't, and going viral on TikTok is inherently fleeting, because the next swipe is always coming 15 seconds later.
Yeah.
Is the era of the monoculture superstar dead forever?
That's the billion-dollar question. Are we fully entering a world where everyone has a favorite superstar, someone they would gladly fly across the world to see live, that their next-door neighbor has literally never even heard of?
I think we might already be there, honestly. I look at my Spotify Wrapped at the end of the year compared to yours, and it's like we live in completely different musical universes.
I think so too. And honestly, that might actually be a much healthier ecosystem for human creativity overall.
A world of a million microstars. I kind of like it.
It's certainly more diverse. It allows for so many more weird, specific niches to flourish.
So, listener, here is your call to action for the week. Open your Spotify or your Apple Music or wherever it is you listen. Scroll through your liked songs.
Do a little personal audit.
Exactly. How many of those artists did you discover because you watched them win a network TV show? And how many did the algorithm just quietly slide into your ear on a Tuesday afternoon?
And more importantly, how many of them do you actually follow on an email list?
That's the real test of loyalty in 2026. If you aren't on the list, are you really a fan?
That's the question.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll catch you next time.
Take care.